As we talk about the fossils, I want to continue with a similar topic. After the fact that 99% of the mutations are harmful, one of the most difficult and problematic subject for Darwinists is the total absence of the fictitious fossils known as transitional forms. Darwinists have sought to explain the absence of transitional forms in other ways, in order to neutralize the fact that embarrassing them and make them so funny, and say instead of that transitional forms are different from what we imagine. First and foremost, we need to make clear that the concept for the transitional forms is one produced by Darwinists themselves.
Yes.
This is very important. It was Darwinists who came up with the idea that countless transitional forms must have resulted from unsuccessful mutations between two life forms, and that the majority of these fictitious life forms would have been eliminated, while only very few of them survived to these days.
According to this tale that evolutionist has been telling us, there must been a time when a fish is supposedly have grow feet, and when reptiles' arms would have wings, and this mythical period does not exist, and in this fossil record we don't see anything like this. So how could it be? It cannot be like a magic wand touch and it grows up something like this. So there has to be proofs, but where are the proofs? So there is nothing like this.
Yes. So there is therefore no question of a concept that we think of a transitional forms, because we know they say to us what is the transitional form. All the descriptions of the transitional forms refer to as all the descriptions about the entities referred to as transitional forms came from Darwinists. For years, paleontologists are trying to solve and failed to do this, failed to find transitional forms described by Darwin himself. And according to this description, transitional forms are deformed and monstrous living beings. It is impossible, according to that description, for them to be something, some other thing.
Yes.
It have to be like
they are
this.
saying transitional forms. When we look at that, the things that say transitional form, they are extinct animals, or the animals which are still living today, like coelacanths. This is very humiliating for them. Or they make sculptures.
Yes.
This is these are their transitional forms, so-called.
Were the theory of evolution true, there is no doubt that the traces of this fictitious intermediate period should have been found in the fossil records, as we talk. And for example, fish spanning millions of years, while its fins are transforming to legs, as evolutionist maintains, should exist in the alleged transitional intermediate state in the fossil records. But where it is, we don't find any. And that is not all. Bearing the 99% of mutations, bearing in mind that 99% of mutations are harmful, there should be also many more examples of all the failed stages pertinent to life forms. There should be millions or even billions of odd-looking creatures, odd-looking life forms that emerge as a result of failed mutations everywhere in the world.
Yes, because whenever someone dig the garden, even if they dig their garden, they can find fossils. Everywhere is full of fossils.
Yes.
There is no place without fossils, and when they dig out and find some fossils, they see that they are all proving creation because they are perfect. They're exactly the same as the ones the relatives live today. They're exactly the same, or extinct. They cannot find the animal living today, but if the animal lives today, the fossil of an animal that we can see in living today, it would be the same. It won't be different. This is something clear.
Yes. bearing in mind that mutations are blind and random processes and are inevitably harmful, no matter how unwilling Darwinists may be to accept this fact, all the successful or supposedly unsuccessful transitional forms would have been deformed and twisted, with legs coming from their ears, or half fins, half legs, or with 3 ears instead of 2. And there are a lot of other examples like this. Yet no one, such deformed living thing, is nor any transitional form of the kind that is imagined by Darwinists has ever been found between the 300 million fossils that are unearthed till now. Indeed, what troubles Darwinists most is that the fossils are completely, regularly symmetrical and fully formed. In other words, that they totally refute the evolution.
Yes.
Fossils refute the evolution. As our viewers will recall, Darwin's greatest worry was that transitional forms would be in a state of confusion, and that everything in nature has a perfect regularity and symmetry. And he says like this: why, if species have descended from other species by insensibly gradation, do we not everywhere see innumerable transitional forms? Why is not all nature in confusion instead of the specific being, as we see them well defined?
Yes.
So it's very clear from what he said. Mutations do not produce symmetry, and they don't know anything about harmony, order, or golden ratio. They do not calculate what will be good for the living beings, and mutations are unconscious processes. The most important is that a mutation cannot produce symmetry. For example, it cannot produce two symmetrical eyes, two symmetric, equally long legs, or symmetrically heart valves. There is no symmetry in mutation.
Yes.
There is no example of such symmetry, and that's why one Turkish Darwinist, well aware of the fact that there is no transitional form in the fossil record, desperately describes himself as a transitional form in one television channel.
This is really a desperate state of affair for Darwinists. And Darwinists have no hesitation over rejecting the scientific facts and humiliating themselves for the sake of their ideology.
Yes, people need to be reminded that demagoguery no longer has any effect on people, since it has become a livestock. And Darwin's nightmare came true. We see this by the fossil records, because these fossil records we have found till now refute evolution in every way.
Yes.
Mashallah.
Mashallah.